Estonia's Foreign Minister Urmas Reinsalu. Thank you for joining us on TRT World. So the war in Ukraine has not only destroyed entire cities and thousands of livelihoods, it's also shattered long-standing security assumptions. Estonia, like many other Western nations, has reformed its own national security strategy. Compared to the previous version from 2017, what are the main changes?
First of all, my condolences to all brave Turkey people who have lost their loved ones. And Estonia was amongst the first. It was our government decision to send immediately a rescue team to help. And we are in all our thoughts, prayers with Turkey people. On our national security strategy, first, earlier version was that minimum of our defense expenditure is 2% from GDP, as is a NATO appeal. Now we have raised this ambition to 3% level as a threshold, and our appeal is also before the NATO Vilnius summit that we should also, the NATO level of ambition, rise to the 2.5% of GDP to defense costs. And also we clearly defined in our national security strategy that our biggest security threat is a Russian Federation.
You already mentioned, you said the biggest threat is from the Russian Federation. Compared to other Western nations, Baltic states like Estonia, for them the threat is more tangible as you share a direct border. How do you deal with that threat and how concerned are you?
Well, we have passed a set of procurements to get more ammunition, more long-range missiles, artillery and so on. But also we have got a lot of NATO other countries' troops to our soil in all Baltic countries. And we are proud we have received US troops, HIMARS also, UK troops. And this is something we are expecting also from Vilnius summit, that our region countries, in coherence with the new security assessments, should have new defense plans, and these slots should be also empowered by very particular NATO allies units, so that we will already know in the case of any conflict that which NATO country will which particular units send to defend our soil. And we would like to see also ammunition equipment pre-positioned in our region.
And Russia considers the Baltic states to be the most vulnerable part of the West. Your intelligence report that has been published this month is confirming that. What is your answer to this?
That NATO Article 5 is functional and NATO will defend its territory, including also Estonia and other Baltic countries. And of course, it is very much dependent on the outcome of Russian aggression war against Ukraine, because now the majority of their combat troops are in Ukrainian front line. And existential threat to us, but also to a broader region and all Europe, is that if the outcome of the war will be somehow interpreted as a Russian victory or ambivalent one. So it means that aggressions will somehow be successful, and this is something we can't just for our existential security interest, but also for the interest of morality, for the world peace, we can't allow happen.
The European Union, other Western allies have increasingly ramped up their military support for Ukraine. They've also ramped up sanctions, and Moscow is increasingly isolated. But is that enough in your opinion?
No, absolutely not. There should be more determination in three particular angles to support Ukrainian victory, as President Zelensky today called in the course of this year. First, raise the altitude of all the conventional weapons delivery to Ukraine, and Estonia has made a benchmark. We have given more than 1% of our GDP worth of weapons to Ukraine, and we call all other NATO members to join that pledge. Secondly, continue with political isolation of Russia and rising also the altitude of sanctions. There are several elements that could be worked out so that the heart of Russian economy will be vitally in harm, particularly Russian LPG gas income, also lowering the Russian Urals crude oil price gap level from $60 to halve it, and there are several other ways.
Estonia hopes to pass a legislation that would allow to use frozen assets, frozen Russian assets worth millions of dollars for the reconstruction of Ukraine. How do you think Russia would respond to that?
They do not love that idea, to be honest. So they will not be anyhow enthusiastic. But our message is that we need international solution, that it will make a grand difference, because there are in Western countries frozen Russian assets, either state assets of Russian central bank reserves or oligarchs' assets, more than $300 billion worth. And if we could make a seizure of these assets to take into use to support the survival of Ukraine, it will be a game changer in that context, that it is times more than Western countries in combined manner during the course of this year have supported Ukraine.
And Estonian lawmakers have in October voted to label Russia a terror state. That wording, what impact will that have on the conflict, or what signal do you hope to send to the Kremlin?
Our main message is to give the signal first to the Russian people that they are living under a terrorist regime, and this is not okay. That they do bear also a particular moral responsibility, that they have by their passivity encouraged the regime now to commit such atrocities against humanity. And secondly, it is also a message to the other world countries to recognize Russia as a terrorist regime, and we have to contextualize that this is not just a war to get any kind of territories under control. The Russian Federation strategic intent, and Putin has not made it in like a hidden issue, is to annihilate Ukrainian statehood, and well, they are on denial of Ukrainian nation.
One major topic here at the Munich Security Conference is that of accountability. You've been calling for an international tribunal to hold Russian leaders accountable for the crimes of aggression against Ukraine. How realistic is this, also considering that apart from many Western nations, that other countries are either neutral or even Russia-leaning?
This is a case of future of world security. If we will not make aggressor to pay for the crimes it has committed, it is a seeds. We are then already making seeds to new aggressions. So therefore, it is a security issue, but it is also an issue of justice in the sake of all these martyrs and victims in Ukraine. And I would be rather positive. I do not see any opportunity to imagine that the accountability will not be the determination towards accountability will not be achieved, and the majority of Western countries have supported that idea. The cases by which will be modus operandi, but the case, from my understanding, should be clear that Putin and his accomplices who are responsible of committing a crime of aggression should bear responsibility in tribunal.
I want to finish off by one last question. Estonia and Turkey are celebrating their 100th anniversary of their diplomatic relations next year. Turkey has been supportive of Estonia's NATO membership. Estonia, in return, has been quite supportive for Turkey's membership process, and both countries say they do understand each other's security concerns. How important is this bilateral cooperation on platforms such as the NATO, the EU and the UN, for example?
Very important. Turkey is a big, important and very solid partner, and we share thoughts with my Turkey colleague very often by phones. I had privilege to host him in his recent visit last month, and so the one thing we put a ambition that there should be a trade of 1 billion, worth of 1 billion euros annually. So we are lacking still this element in our cooperation.
Foreign Minister Urmas Reinsalu, thank you very much for joining us on TRT World.
Thank you.